Let's look at adding a Sage Pastel entity or a trial balance import. So you can click on either of these two. You'll need to name your entity. So I'm going to call this entity 10. I'll need to select the country. So let's make it the United States. Once you select the country, the base currency and year end will automatically populate based on your country selection. But you can obviously go change these if something else is relevant to you. You need to select the accounting basis. So is your entity going to be on the accrual or cash basis? Select whichever is appropriate to you. You then need to select the industry. So I'm going to select entertainment, center operations, and you'd select whatever industry is appropriate to your entity. You can change this at a later stage, but this is important for our benchmarking function. So once you've inputted all the information that you need, you can click next. And now it's going to take you to a screen where this entity has been created. So you'll now note we are in entity 10, which is what I just created, but we are in this upload data screen. And that's because Syft now needs you to upload information relevant for this entity. You'll note that there are several options. As we clicked on Pastel, it's giving us the accounting provider, Sage 50C Pastel, and it gives us instructions as to how to get the information off Pastel in a way that we will be able to upload it. So if you follow these steps, so you open your company, you click View, you click on General Ledger, click on Financial Reports, and you follow the rest of these steps, you will then extract the information in a way that it's able to drag and drop it over here, and then you can click Upload and upload your data. You can also upload your chart of accounts. This is optional. It will make it easier to classify the information, but you're also able to still do that on Syft at a later stage in our layouts feature, which we'll explore later on in this course. If you wanted to rather upload a trial balance import, you could then click on Excel. You'll need to import a trial balance, and you'll need to select the interval. Do you want the information to be on a monthly, quarterly, or a yearly basis? And remember, it's best, if possible, to do it at a more granular basis because you can always group it at a later stage. But if you were to include annual information or yearly information, there's no way for Syft to break it down into the monthly information at a later stage. You then need to select if you want a single or double column. So for a single column, you will have one column which will have debits and credits indicated with a sign. You could also choose debits and credit columns, and here you'll have two columns, one for debits and another for credits. It really just depends on how you want to input the data. You then need to select your start and end date, and that's the period for which you're going to input the data. Once you're happy with this, you can click Generate Template, and then Syft will generate a template, which we'll have a look at in a minute. So now Syft has generated a template, and this is what it looks like. It has a tab where you can import your data. You'll know that the first row has headings, the second has your debit and credit column, and the third has drop-downs. Please only input information from the third column because anything above that will not register. You'll also note that the first and second rows have drop-down, and that's because you need to select from one of these options for each of the accounts that you have inputted. You cannot just copy paste because Syft needs to use these items to register how to record it on Syft. You have a set of instructions which will make it easier for you to input the data, and you have an example of both cumulative and movement information along with an explanation of the classification. So all of this is tailored to helping make it easier for you to input the data. So I'm going to use some example information just to input for our purposes. So we've inputted some numbers, and now I need to go and classify. So this would be sales and revenue. I then need to classify this as cost of sales and variable expenses, and then go and classify the rest of the information. So once you've populated this sheet, you would then save it onto your computer, and you would come over here and search for it by clicking on Browse and then click Upload. But before you click Upload, there is one very important decision to make. You need to tell Syft if the information that you're uploading is on the movement or the cumulative basis. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me show you an example. So if we go back to our template, if this is on the cumulative basis, what that means is that up to the end of February, I had $200,000 worth of sales. And then up to the end of March, I had $420,000 worth of sales. So to clarify, let's quickly look at two things. Firstly, what is my total year to date? Well, if we're on the cumulative basis, my total year to date would be 420,000 because every month I'm showing the total or the cumulative basis. My amount for March would actually then be the 420 less the 200,000. So it would be 220,000. So that is what the numbers would look like if we were on the cumulative method. If these numbers are movements, however, what we'd be telling Syft is that the sales in February were 200,000 and the sales in March were 420,000. So if I were going to look at my total here, my total for the year to date would be the 200 plus the 420, so it would be 620,000. So as you can see, selecting movement or cumulative can have a huge impact on your data. So you need to understand the type of data that you're inputting to Syft. Is it movement data? Is it cumulative data? And then make the correct selection and then click upload. Finally, you have an option to click on connector. And this is an add-on which you can find in the hamburger icon here. You can see we have a connector which you could start a trial for either for Excel or for Google Sheets. And I'd really encourage you to go and investigate this if you plan on uploading Excel entities often. And if you work with Excel or Google Sheets a lot, then this can be a really valuable addition to your entity. If you'd like to learn how to upload a trial balance with the Google or G Sheets connector, I'm going to link to our connector course where we explain in detail how to do that. And so once you've exported the data from your accounting provider or populated the template, you can then pull that information and drag it over here and then click upload. And now it will populate that information for your entity. It'll say upload successful, and you can then click continue. And that's how you can upload information to Syft using a trial balance import or for a Pastel entity.